CityCast Pittsburgh is supported today by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Pittsburghers love this place, and I've actually never been, so it's definitely on my list to check out. There's history, there's artifacts like Michael Jackson's Thriller jacket, handwritten lyrics from the Beatles, Taylor Swift's piano, and right now they've also got a new exhibit on Saturday Night Live and their many talented musical guests. So you can see stuff from their skits and performances, and apparently it's the only place you can see SNL's entire performance archive. Check out the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to learn more about the music that connects us all. For more information, go to rockhall.com/exhibitions/SNL-50-years-music. Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, a celebrated old ice ball cart is getting some formal recognition. Go Gus and Yaya. Multiple Pennsylvania lawmakers are making headlines, not necessarily for good reasons. And boats are apparently squatting by our stadiums, clogging up the river and taking the good parking. Plus, Yins have had some pretty big thoughts about us saying nice things about Cleveland. I'm with CityCast Sophia Lowe talking about some of the biggest stories of the week. It's Friday, August 1st. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. Hi, Sophia. We made it. Cleveburgh week.
Cleveburgh. It's coming to an end. Womp womp.
It is. In case you missed it, we have been doing a sponsored series all this week about how Cleveland and Pittsburgh should be nicer to each other. This whole idea of Cleveburgh came about because of a blog post from 12, 14 years ago. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, over a decade. I think before your time in Pittsburgh, too.
Way before
right?
my time. Yeah. And I mean, even the original author of that says it was not his idea. So that was our guest on Monday. But just talking about what it would mean for our power as a community, as Pittsburghers, if we were to join forces with a community like Cleveland that is culturally aligned with us more than, say, some of the cities in our own state. It's been really, really interesting to dive into this.
I mean, we are so much closer to Cleveland than Philly.
And I think in our hearts, off the football field, we are pretty aligned. So anyway, we started there kind of talking about what it would take, logistically, in terms of the U.S. Census to tie us together as one official metro area. We also talked about what it would be like to take a quick trip to Cleveland. I've been a couple times, but not a lot. So we turned to our expert friends here.
Oh, totally. And they had some really good suggestions, obviously things like West Side Market, the Art Museum. But we also got some feedback from listeners. One person turned us on to Slyman's Deli, which has the biggest, fattest sandwiches I've seen, even bigger than Permani's.
Yeah, that episode was super fun because it included so much of y'all's voices. So we really appreciate the folks who reached out on our Cleveburgh hotline, but also talked to us at some events. And then we also talked about some beer and wine options. Some nightlife options.
And Ohio Wines even sponsored a segment. They apparently have so many varieties to sample at an upcoming show.
Yeah, so some Midwest wine for you too. But just as we've reflected this week, we also just wanted to take a second for y'all's feedback because you have had some thoughts about Pittsburgh talking about Cleveland.
Definitely. So I'm going to start with someone who was very appalled. So Stan M came in hot on a Monday and emailed us, "You lost me at Cleveburgh. Trying to join my Pittsburgh at the hip with the mistake on the lake is a non-starter."
That was in response to our Hey Pittsburgh newsletter. Stan, I hope that you found some other things in the newsletter that tickled your fancy. Not surprisingly, though, Reddit also had some thoughts. Shout out to Seth Goodtime, who keeps CityCast on the board on Reddit. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely. So this post, the caption was, first, they ask us if we should be friends. Then they give us a guide, our Tuesday episode, the audacity. I think this is a joke. I don't think this is, maybe a Stan M opinion who's absolutely not.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for the most part, the comments on Reddit and elsewhere actually have been pretty positive. That was the thing that kind of sent us down this path to begin with, is because when we were asking people how do you feel about Cleveland, I fully expected more bad mouthing myself. That did not happen.
Me too. I think there were more people who were just surprised or confused, and then also positive. But like, there was a lot more what than ew, boo.
Yeah. I mean, people here do not actually hate Cleveland. Like, one of the comments on Seth Goodtime's post was like, I could not imagine hating Cleveland in the year 2025.
Caveat, one of the responses was try harder. So on Reddit, I think that's definitely where we saw more haters. Like, one person said, the only guide I need to being friends with Cleveland is how to wall off that entire state. Bunch of Jags.
Honestly. Yeah. I mean, somebody else like brought in like, Ohio crashed a train and poisoned my water supply. Now, of course, they're talking
Same
about
person that called all of Ohio a bunch of Jags.
Yeah, East Ohio. That's East Palestine. That's not Cleveland, which somebody points out. And, somebody's like, but like not all of Ohio is bad. I should point out that was also Norfolk Southern, which does run through Pittsburgh. Like that train was on its way to the Pittsburgh region. So but people have also been sending us recommendations. So as we've been telling y'all about like the good stuff that we've heard, like we should go check out, it's worth a drive. Y'all have sent us more stuff, which we love.
Yes, like Leah emailed us and told us about the Polish boy. So that's like another Cleveland classic food. So Leah described this as kind of like Permani's saucy tubular cousin. So a Polish boy, if you're unfamiliar, is like a hot dog, but there's like kielbasa in it instead of like a beef hot dog. And then it's topped with coleslaw, fries, and barbecue sauce.
I saw this email came in, but I did not actually stop to look at what it looks like. This looks pretty disgusting. I mean, I'd probably still try it, but it looks pretty gross.
Yeah, it doesn't look that pretty. I'll give them that.
I mean, Permante's isn't always gorgeous in real life. Like the photos on their website are fine, but like in real life, it is a messy sandwich.
Yeah, but honestly, I think this sounds yummier than Permani's maybe.
You love a hot dog, though.
I do love a hot dog. I saw something that said like hot dogs are the Gen Z bacon, and I think I have to agree. So I'm also actually kind of invested in going to Cleveland because I've only spent like a few hours there passing through, really. And this is on my list to get. So thank you, Leah.
Joshua P. also got into our Insta DMs. Is that I'm going to the Cleveland area this weekend, been planning it for several weeks. But this whole Cleveland series, the sponsored series, has been really helpful.
We're so glad it helped you out.
I know. And they also said that the whole Akron, Summit County area is really great for beer as well, that they have their own brewery passport similar to the Pittsburgh Brewery Guilds, and that it's 17 stops. He says only 17 stops.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of stops.
I think that's still like fewer than what we have in Pittsburgh, but I thought the only was really funny.
Yeah, I think that would require multiple trips. Our guest from Monday did send us a note saying that they would like formal credit if CityCast ever launches a CityCast Cleveland.
But I think it needs to be CityCast Cleveburgh now, right? Like, isn't that the whole appeal of this?
No, we are CityCast Pittsburgh. I am unwilling to share that much, but I would fully support a CityCast Cleveland. That would be a lot of fun.
And some people also sent us notes saying that they're being influenced to go to Cleveland. So
for the
that's
first
fun.
time. Yeah.
Maybe you'll see me there.
Yeah, I got a note from a friend saying that they're now going to go for their anniversary trip. They always pick like some small Midwestern Rust Belt type city anyway, but Cleveland is making the cut thanks to us. I thought that was fun. I also had another one saying that they were going to go for the first time, like ever. So that's really neat.
And we'll end with what Clevelanders think about us. So someone on our ads team, Zach Durkin, shared our guide to Cleveland with his brother-in-law and sister-in-law. So they actually live in Cleveland, and they actually found it super informative, especially on the food and drink front, because they learned about places they'd never even heard of. So I guess like some Pittsburghers really are the experts on Cleveland. Like they're there enough, or maybe they've moved over here, still love their hometown, all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of the sentiment I got from a couple of friends that are still relatively new to the Cleveland area. And they were just like, thank you so much for this. Like it gave us like a whole bucket list that we had not had time to make for ourselves, right? One more thought before we go, a little bit of a big thought kind of. But our guest from Monday, Chris Bream, he studies cities and how they shift, but, specifically Pittsburgh, of course. And for a long time, he had a counterpart, a scholar in Cleveland, Richie Papirinen. He's passed away now, but before he died, he wrote this like amazing book. I have it on my shelf now called Octopus Hunting that talks about disease and his experience with it. But he paired it with this idea that the Rust Belt is also carrying its own sort of doom. Like it's just like kind of in all of us in this very specific way. I just thought that the way he talked about it was so, I don't know, it's just worth hearing. So this is what he told Idea Stream last year.
Emil Durkheim was a famous sociologist. And there is a concept of collective conscious. So just as individuals have emotions, so do groups of individuals. The Rust Belt in Cleveland, when you have loss, you face fear. You face shame. And so how you deal with that? I think the Rust Belt is a shameful region. And it's just not because of what we feel as shame. It's about what the rest of the country displaces onto a region. It could be argued the Rust Belt was the first region to die. And feeling less alone and coming together is a brilliant thing. It's a beautiful thing.
So anyway, just maybe one more reason to be nice to each other. If you do want to learn more about Pittsburgh's size and our place in the world, like compared to Cleveland and Philly, for example, we also have a really good article on our website. Thank you so much to Jeff A., who sent us a really nice note about that.
Very sweet. Yeah.
It's very sweet. We will have a link in our show notes, but it just kind of like explains like why our metro area is what it is and like what kind of power that commands. It's worth checking out.
So we will move on to our trivia question of the week. This is presented by the Heinz History Center, which has been putting on their own trivia nights. They are super fun. The next one is this coming Thursday, and some members of the CityCast Pittsburgh team will be there. We'll have a cute little table, and we are also hosting a round of questions. If you play on our website every week, you will have a huge leg up. So this is your time to go to trivia if you feel like you really need a win.
Yeah, the tickets for this are just $7, which is a great hack if you want to see like their new hidden history exhibit, for example, because the tickets on their website are $20 and this gives you access.
There's definitely time when the doors open if you get there early to check out the exhibit. And they also do a little break in between rounds. So you can do a quick peruse then.
Yeah. And there's snacks. There's a cash bar. The doors do open at 6 p.m. Trivia starts a little bit later. But we will get to our trivia question, which we have kept Sophia in the dark about here. But you might know this one. I don't know. In honor of our sponsored Cleveburgh week. So most people know that Cleveland and Pittsburgh both have this like deep shared history with industrialization, specifically steel, which brought with it a lot of wealth. So over in Cleveland, Euclid Avenue was once known as their Millionaire's Row. So tons of those big luxury homes for titans of industry, entrepreneurs, that sort of thing. Pittsburgh had one too. Sophia, where was our Millionaire's Row?
In like Point Breeze, right? Because like Henry Clay Frick's house and all of that. I'm blanking on the name of the street though. So I will just lock in my answer at Point Breeze.
So it's along Penn Avenue, but we'll have the official answer after the break.
Today's show is supported by Downtown Cleveland. Downtown Cleveland is your next great city escape. From the riverfront to the lakefront, you can discover a vibrant, walkable destination alive with energy and excitement. If you're looking for big city experiences mixed with a strong sense of community, Downtown Cleveland delivers. With more than 260 restaurants, bars, and cafes, plus 3 iconic stadiums, there's always something happening. And when the sun sets on Lake Erie, the city lights up with live music, dancing, craft cocktails, world-class entertainment, and more. You can visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, catch a show at Playhouse Square, it's the second largest theater district in the U.S., or head to the Flats East Bank for open-air patios and riverfront views. Whether you're into culture, food, sports, or nightlife, downtown Cleveland has it all, and it's just a short drive from Pittsburgh. Plan your adventure at downtowncleveland.com.
Today's episode is sponsored by Ohio Wines. Ohio Wines are an invitation from people passionate about creating unique wine happenings for all wine lovers, from the connoisseur to the casual sipper. It's an invitation to explore an unpretentious wine region, sewn together by meaningful connections with a focus on experiences. It's not about graduating from a tasting course at an award-winning winery. It's not always about the sunset view from the Ohio River Valley's vine-studded hills, or the sordid details of a Lake Erie wine cellar's existence during Prohibition. It's about discovering a hidden taste for Cabernet, or learning something new about your soulmate after 30 years. It's about hearing a century of passion in a master vintner's voice. It's about celebrating the romance, craftsmanship, delight, and curiosity found only in Ohio wines. It's about inspiring memories and forging deeper connections with yourself and loved ones in places held dear. It's about life grown here. Order your free Ohio wine guide to plan your visit at www.findohiowines.com.
We are back with our big reveal about trivia. Sophia, you are sort of correct. Officially,
I'll take it. I'm really bad at road names. So.
Officially, Millionaire's Row is in Shadyside, but that's because all there along Fifth Avenue and kind of into Penn, we had a big Millionaire's Row. So like Mansions on Fifth, if you've ever been there, now it's like a hotel and an event space, and they've got a bar in there. It's super cool, but it goes all the way down to that Clayton Mansion in what we now call Point Breeze. So this is kind of like Gilded Age into like early 20th century. There used to be a whole bunch more. But fun fact, Allegheny West over on the north side, so that's kind of like tucked behind Acrisure Stadium, it used to have one too.
Oh, that's new to me.
But the north side was not part of Pittsburgh back then. So at the time, it was Allegheny City. So that one is along Ridge Avenue. It's like all those fancy old brick buildings that are mostly owned by CCAC now.
Got it. Okay. Well, I will check those buildings out with like a fresh eye next time. All the buildings there are so cute, like around like the north side. So very cool to take like a little walk if you haven't been.
Yeah, you absolutely should. So we're going to do some updates from recent shows. I feel like a lot of the stuff we've been talking about for the last month or two has had like some big new development. So we're just going to run through a bunch of them just to keep yins updated.
Yes, and we will start with some good news. So Gus and Yaya's, the super iconic ice ball stand.
Always talk about it in our guides to the summer because like you cannot have a Pittsburgh summer without one of these ice balls and their popcorn.
And, you know, that cart's been around for 90 years, a little more than 90 years.
Since your dad was a lad. I mean, at this point, granddad was a lad.
Right. So the family still runs the ice ball stand, and now there's like an honorary way named after them. So Gus and Yaya Way. So Gus Colares unfortunately passed away last year. He was 92, and he started working at the ice ball stand when he was 8 years old.
And he was still so strong. Like the last time I went there before he passed away, like he was still like, because they're literally shaving ice in the old school way. Like this is not being made if you've never been there. And they have these huge clamps that look like reverse scissors where they pick up this enormous block of ice. Like it looks like an ice cube, like but giant size. And he would pick it up and move it onto the ice ball cart, like from a refrigerated like little truck thing. It was so impressive. And I was still seeing him do that up until a few years ago.
Well, you can still go check it out, get their ice balls. So the honorary streets at the corner of West Ohio and Brighton Road. I haven't been there this season yet, so I definitely want to go.
Yeah, it's kind of a mark of Pittsburgh summer. You got to make it there eventually. Look for the big orange cart with the umbrellas. There's like all kinds of signage now, and now an official one. It's really neat.
Yeah, it's really hard to miss. And then another piece of good news, the inductees for Pittsburgh's Walk of Fame have been announced. So this is a new project that's getting installed in the Strip District. We actually did a podcast with the person who started this whole project, and she shared a little bit more about, you know, why she wanted to put together a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, basically like kind of going back to this idea, like she was in St. Louis at the time, and she was like, you know, I didn't know anything about St. Louis, but I was walking down their Walk of Fame, and I'm like, oh, well, I know this person. And I know this person and I know what this person did. And it like made it feel more real. So she was like, where could we do something like that in Pittsburgh? And, you know, for folks that are from outside the city, like, and make them like root them a little bit more in our shared history, that kind of thing. Because she said, like, you know, when I have out of town guests or whatever, like they don't know that Mr. Rogers was from here. Like we all know that, but other people don't. So this is just a way to like highlight that in public in a way. So anyway, they landed on the Strip District in like the terminal space. So this is just the beginning of it.
So they are going to start with 10 inductees. So that includes Mr. Rogers, of course.
Obviously.
Andrew Carnegie, August Wilson, Andy Warhol, Jonas Salk, Nellie Bly, Rachel Carson, Roberto Clemente, George Benson, and then also Michael Keaton, who will also be at the induction ceremony happening on October 20th. George Benson, he's a jazz musician from the Hill, is also going to pre-record a little speech.
Yeah, I joked with Nancy at the time. I was like, you have to choose like a living celebrity so that they come, and then everybody will come because they want to see the living celebrity, right? Like, so that like sort of limited the list of people it could be. Like, I imagine Goldblum's going to make like a future list or something, but he's been here recently. Like, you need to bring in that Michael Keaton money, you know?
Well, the idea is to add 10 more people each year for the next 3 years. So fingers crossed for Jeff Goldblum, I guess. And then beyond that, the goal will be to add 3 new people per year.
Yeah. Full disclosure, Mallory and I, executive producer Mallory Falk, got to vote, but we got to pick 15. So 10 people actually made the cut. We got to do 15. But Sophia, you helped me with mine because I think I crowdsourced my picks from like 6 different people because it felt like so much responsibility. The selection committee was enormous, though. So like a few people I picked were chosen, but several that I picked were not. And that's totally chill. I think like it's kind of cool that this list is going to evolve.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll get to pick in the future. Who knows?
Oh my gosh, Nancy, can we? Let's do it. And then one more piece of good news. Row House, the new one over in Dormont, so the old Hollywood Theater, is going to have a big grand opening. We now have a date. They've been under construction forever.
Well, opening exact date TBD, but in the fall.
True.
Which
we've got like some promise. Like it was supposed to be last year, I think, originally. But like, I mean, it's just so complicated to renovate one of these old spaces.
Totally. It's been a while coming. Row House originally got this space in 2023. And then when they just got it, we actually got a tour with one of the owners, Brian Mendelson, and he kind of shared his vision for everything that was happening. I was really excited about these like private theaters that you could rent out.
They're in the
video
basement.
Games. I hope that's still like part of the plan.
I think so. From what I was reading about, because I mean, I feel like a lot of outlets talked about this week, that is still a thing, but like it also like added complications, right? But now you can do like screenings of like smaller movies. Part of the reason behind this is because like the Hollywood Theater is just really big. It's much bigger than the Row House in Lawrenceville.
Oh yeah,
so,
definitely.
But by having a family of theaters, they're now going to be able to bring in different kinds of movies just because of like how like distribution systems work for films. So like you have to like I'm oversimplifying this, but you have to like take a big budget movie for a set amount of time if you're going to have it at all. If you want to take like maybe a smaller movie. So anyway, it allows them to configure things in ways that hopefully locals like Pittsburghers and film lovers will be able to enjoy more.
Well, the last thing that they're sort of working on at the Hollywood is this domed ceiling. So that's going to be part of their main theater. They're tapping in help from the designers behind Scare House and like Kennywood's old mill ride. So I'm like very excited to see what the space looks like when we can get in.
What an absurd resume. Like I work on the Scare House and the old mill and also the new Row House. Like that is so funny to me.
That really is. And then we'll move on to the Pittsburgh Mills now.
The old home of the Scare House, actually. We're keeping it in the family.
There have been so many citations against the Pittsburgh Mills owners, 400 of them, actually.
This is that big mall with the, like, sign off 28 that's just, like, falling apart. That's, like, way up there. If you ever pass it, you're just, like, you would look up the hill and be like, is that thing still open? The answer is yes, technically.
I think at one point it said, like, Ugg Mills. Like, so many letters that were going down.
Maybe you mean like the lighting, because like I drive by it a lot, and like Pittsburgh is still there, but maybe not in the dark. But there's potholes all over it, and people have like been so upset because while the mall itself is not doing great, there are a ton of businesses around it on the property that are still open and doing real good business, or they would be if people weren't terrified that their car was going to bottom out in one of these horrible potholes.
Yeah, and we'll see if things get better. So a recent court hearing covered about 250 of the citations, and Pittsburgh Mills needs to cough up about $1.8 million for all of this. There's going to be another hearing later in August, and that one will specifically address a lot of the road maintenance issues. So I guess we'll keep following this.
Yeah, I mean, they've been cited before. It took them a very long time to pay up. I think they ultimately did. But like now we're just starting the cycle over again. There was also a whole thing of like there was some of the potholes got filled, but then they didn't pay the company that did it. Like it's like it keeps happening over and over again. And I want good things for our properties in the Pittsburgh region, and these people are not being good landlords.
They really aren't. Well, I guess we've kind of headed in the bad news area.
That's true. We're headed to the bad news. So you may have heard we talked about wine not long ago, specifically wine tariffs and how if you are a wine lover in the Pittsburgh region, it might get more expensive soon. So this is a little bit national, but it does affect us here. President Trump met with European Union leaders, and it seems like they've maybe locked in a deal at 15%, which still sucks. Like at one point, they were talking about wine tariffs being as high as 200%, then it was 30, then it might have been 10. Now, as we're recording this, it seems to be 15, which would go into effect as you're hearing this on August 1st. But that is still, like, according to everybody we talked to here in Pittsburgh, that is still an amount that you will feel on a check because it has to get distributed all through this, like, long system. Anyway, there are people still pushing for zero. They're hoping for an 11th hour save. Maybe by the time you're hearing this, that's happened. But
or
as
it
of
gets kicked down again, and we'll see on September 1st. That's happened so many times.
Yeah, this was supposed to start in the spring, and obviously it did not. We'll see how it shakes out. But as of right now, 15%.
Well, what else should we know?
Yes. So one of our U.S. representatives, Mike Kelly, so he mostly represents Butler County. He handled a whole bunch of the reviews, like the investigatory stuff after the assassination attempt on President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. He and his wife are in hot water. So a House Ethics Committee has apparently been investigating he and his wife, Victoria, for 4 years. I was actually sort of shocked at the length of time here.
Yeah.
And concluded that there was, quote, substantial evidence that he violated the Congressional Code of Conduct over their stock trades. Sophia, guess what his wife is invested in and he failed to disclose over the last few years?
My guess is always weapons, but like, is it like a gun manufacturer or something? No, am I totally off?
It's possible. I don't know their full portfolio. No, the thing that has gotten them in trouble, Cleveland Cliffs. His wife has been invested in Cleveland Cliffs and turned a tidy profit, I should add, because of Cleveland Cliffs. You can imagine how much has been going on with Cleveland Cliffs and U.S. Steel and Nippon and all of that behind the scenes in Congress. And he didn't tell anybody. He didn't say anything. Investigators say that his wife also did not cooperate with the investigation, which worked, I guess, because the House Ethics Committee could not find definitive proof of insider trading, which would be a much more serious thing.
Yeah.
But they did find enough to warrant this sanction. There was also a note in some of the stories I read that Representative Kelly was not appropriately shamed by his behavior and what it does to Congress's reputation. I thought it was,
we can do the shaming here.
It's sort of meaningless, but I did think it was funny that like all the reporting took the time to like point it out that like Representative Kelly was like, whatever.
I guess maybe it's like, it's not inside trading. I'm just going to hope it blows over at this point.
What kind of reaction can he have? And also like a genuine question. Do any of our politicians care about their reputation anymore? Like, do they? I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
I'm not the right person to ask.
And then one more for you, Sophia, just because I thought it was extremely funny. Some people are very pissed about boat owners parking their watercrafts here in Pittsburgh next to our stadiums. So this is all along the North Shore because they've been putting them there, docking, and then just never moving them. So like our entire baseball season, I guess. And I've been over there, but it didn't occur to me that they weren't moving after the game because like, of course, there's boats out there.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
always
not paying
a thing.
attention to what boats are moving in and out.
Yeah, I'm not either. But I guess like people have like docked and they just never leave. Like they're spending all summer in one spot on the Allegheny River in front of PNC Park. And that's not supposed to be a thing, like, because it costs money to like dock your boat at a marina and you're supposed to like come and go, right? But some people, I guess, aren't doing that. The stadiums are managed by the Sports and Exhibition Authority, and they passed a 48-hour vacate rule. So like they put up signs like you can only be here for up to 48 hours. But people were not listening to that. And it turns out that they don't have any enforcement power. So
really?
They're saying like, get out of here.
No.
I know.
And then shrug.
But then they're not allowed to tow the boat like the way a police car might on a city road. Like they can't do that. I remember this being such a big thing a couple years ago because there was a boat like right in front of PNC. Well, like in front of and down just a little bit by the bridge, but it was slowly sinking into the river. Like there was some problem. It was legitimately abandoned.
Okay.
And nobody was taking responsibility for it. And it was like, should the Coast Guard do this? Should the city do this? Like, whose is it? And everybody was like, I don't think we have the enforcement power to deal with this one boat. So it sounds like this is maybe an extension of that problem. I did notice that Governor Josh Shapiro has recently signed a new law that streamlines the process of removing abandoned boats.
So good news?
Maybe, and ticketing the owners. But as far as I can tell, like it's not clear to me, I guess, whether that law is going to apply here. Because like while that one boat a few years ago was definitely abandoned, are these boats now that are just parked here and frequently being visited by people coming onto their own boats, are those abandoned? Like, what does abandonment mean? Because like a car could be abandoned overnight, I think. I think that's how that works. But like, is a boat abandoned if nobody goes onto it for 3 days, but like it's clearly in nice shape and being used? I don't know. I have so many questions.
Well, if anyone is just simply too lazy to take their boat out, hit me up. I would love to go on a little boat adventure. I know they're probably parking there because they don't want to give up their spot.
Yeah.
But, like, I would take it on a little spin.
I think it's so funny that, like, boat owners are now, like, they're basically using their boats as parking chairs. Like, it's both car and parking chair at the same time. Like, this is very funny to me, but I don't know who I want to win. I genuinely don't.
I also am, like, a little surprised there are that many boat owners here in Pittsburgh, like, who want to park specifically there, that there's an uproar. But maybe I just, like, wildly underestimated the amount of people who own boats.
I mean, I think it's a lot of people who own boats, but also a lot of people who still love the pirates and the atmosphere, despite all of the noise.
It's summer. Time to enjoy long days, lazy nights, and zero cooking. Because Uber Eats has deals all summer long. So, when hunger strikes, don't sweat it. Delicious deals are just a tap away on Uber Eats. Enjoy all your favorite food delivered straight to you. Get Burger King, Subway, Popeyes, and hundreds more local favorites and savor every last bite. Now that sounds like a good summer. Order now on Uber Eats. Terms apply. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
Got some good news for your ears. More of that good stuff is coming up. And even better news for your hair. The best hair care is at Sephora. They've got all kinds of products for every kind of hair. From brands like Amika, Kerastase, Day, and K18. You knew where to get great audio. Now, you know where to get great hair care, too. Sephora. Good news for great hair. Shop hair care now at Sephora.com.
We are back, and we have one of our favorite segments of the week, the opportunity for our CityCast Pittsburgh neighbors, our members, to shout out something they're loving.
And we will start with Bon M. This is their second shout out. Reminder, you can submit more than one.
As many as you want.
Yes, this time Bon is shouting out the Springfield Lofts. So this is a new condo building on Smallman Street. I think it's technically in the Strip District, but to me it feels sort of like between the Strip and Lawrenceville. It's before you get to like the very busy part of the Strip. So if you want access to both neighborhoods, probably a good spot to be. And then we also have a shout out from Katie W., who is shouting out Firecracker Fabrics in Morningside. This is actually our second neighbor shout out for Firecracker Fabrics, so obviously a very beloved spot. Katie says that they've got a really wonderful selection of apparel and quilting fabrics. The owner, Erin, is a delight. And Katie also recommended checking out the shop's Instagram account to see what they have new in stock. So thank you both, Bon and Katie. And like you said, Megan, reminder, if you become a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor, you can send us as many shout outs as you like, favorite local businesses, nonprofits, restaurants, whatever you want, we will read it right here. And you can join today at membership.citycast.fm.
And there are other perks too. Like, for example, this week we gave away a couple pairs of tickets that we weren't going to be able to use, but someone offered them to us. So we gave them first dibs to our members. That's also waiting for you too if you become a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor. So membership.citycast.fm. We are going to talk now about some sports-ish. And if you are new here, I just want to say, like, we don't talk about scores and stuff on the show. Like, that is not our lane. We like to talk more about, like, how our professional teams matter to Pittsburgh and also the drama happening on the field, on the ice. Like, that is kind of our role.
and what's yummy at stadiums.
That's true, too. I always expect a bunch of news to pop off close to the start of football season, but I feel like it's been a busy couple of weeks for the Steelers. So just running through a few updates in case you hear about it at the water cooler. Training camp is happening now. That's over in Latrobe. It happens at a college. We are one of, I think, 2 NFL teams, or we used to be, that actually do this in like a very old school hometown kind of way. The tickets are free. There's like a ton of stuff for kids to do. So like for a couple hours, you can just like go watch the football players do football things if you're into that. They also have food, Sophia. That's happening now for a few more days. And then they've had a few announcements recently, like the team. So first of all, they put out, Sophia, these goofy new throwback uniforms. Click the link that I sent you. They're from 1933 when we were known at the time as the Pittsburgh Pirates. So we had that name as well.
Confusing.
They're busy. They're busy uniforms.
The pants look like khakis. Why are we playing in business casual?
They do look like khakis. However, I would say, so they're like, there's vertical stripes on them. They are yellow and black. They kind of look like a soccer uniform a little bit to me. But I also sent you a link. So we played in other uniforms, also from the 1933 season, from a few years ago. Please click on those.
Oh, okay, bumblebees.
Yes. Those are officially named our Bumblebee uniforms. We haven't played in them in a little while, but I think
like
they
the
were
thigh-high socks.
They were so atrocious. Like they look terrible. It's like, I don't know. Like to me, I mean, I understand like mascots are fraught anyway, but like when the Steelers were taking the field in these Bumblebee uniforms, like there's nothing about that seems intimidating. Like it just like felt so weird.
This feels like some high school like type of uniform. I don't know. I see like a buzz chant going on. This looks ridiculous. I'm at least glad that we're not playing in these.
Yeah, so we're playing in the other ones, not these. But anyway, I guess shout out to 1933. I don't know. The team also announced this year's inductees for the Hall of Honor. So that is it's not like the Hall of Fame. That's a separate thing. Hall of Honor is the little museum that's on the ground floor of Acrisure Stadium. So like you can take tours because we've won 6 Super Bowls. They have like all the trophies and you can kind of get a sense of like team history. It is fairly cheap and also really cool. Like the docents there are so knowledgeable and passionate and in a fun way. And if you go to a game, you can just wander around it on your own for free. So there's a few folks, I think it's 3 players this year getting inducted into that. And then across town, the Steelers have announced they're building a 3,000-seat community field in Hazelwood Greens.
Ooh.
So that is that big stretch of land right on the river. That's like kind of across from the south side, like down on the other side of the railroad tracks from Hazelwood. There's been so many proposals about what should be over there.
It's nice to see there's actually a plan now.
Yeah, it was a steel mill site for a long time, but they say this is going to be a hub for youth sports. It's going to have a press box, concession stands, all the works. So that is expected to open next summer. I did, in the mock-ups for it, I was excited to see that it looks like it is, in fact, 100 yards, like a normal-sized football field.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good. Start the youth up bright and early. They know what 100 yards is.
Well, that's the running joke because the Steelers' official practice facility in the South Side is not 100 yards because they agreed with an old mayor to like preserve the riverfront, which is great. But it means that they didn't quite have enough land to make a full 100-yard practice stadium there when they built it, which has been the running joke that like the Steelers can't make it to the end zone because they only practice on 90 yards. I think it's ice cold. Anyway, this next bit, a little bit more serious, but I do think it's worth a mention. So that New York City office shooting that happened this week has some unfortunate local ties. The person who shot and killed 4 people had a note on him bearing a former Steelers name. So police think he was looking for the NFL headquarters and got the wrong elevators. But the Pittsburgh link is this guy named Terry Long. So he played for the team from 84 to 91 and died in 2005. but at the time it was ruled a suicide from drinking antifreeze. So really, really rough. An autopsy found that he had CTE. And as a city, Pittsburgh is a pioneer in CTE research, just like a teeny little history lesson. But like, our medical examiner years ago was really like head and shoulders above everybody, linking these really intense head injuries that happen in sports and other things, like those sustained in pro football, with CTE and sort of the mental health challenges that can come from that. So the NFL has still not done a lot to acknowledge those links, like between head injuries suffered on a field with CTE, not publicly. But the AP reports that so far they have paid out $1.4 billion to retired players to settle some of these concussion-related claims.
Oh, my God.
So there were just like a couple of players' names on this shooter's note, and there was a Steeler included in it. So anyway, the gunman in New York, he had left in this note, said he wanted his brain studied for CTE. Again, really complicated and evolving story, but did kind of have that local link that I thought was a little, at least worth talking about. And just to kind of bring us back into the future, if you care about the team, the first preseason game is next Saturday against Jacksonville. That next week, the 16th, is the first home game, which I will just leave y'all with this. That means that the grocery stores are going to be empty during game time. So if you like to shop without the madness on a weekend, that is your moment to go to the grocery store during the Steelers game. And also just pro tip, make sure you're checking the schedules once we get into football season, because you do not want to be anywhere near the North Shore or the Parkways when the Steelers are about to play or the Pirates are about to play. And every once in a while when they are both playing at the same time, it is rough on the streets.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't cross over to the north side. That's not worth the hassle.
You just got to watch the schedules, because that is not a surprise you want to run into if you were in a hurry. You know what I mean?
And Megan, I also know you have some good news about the Pirates. So that's new.
It's refreshing.
That's fresh, yeah.
Yeah. So a former player was just inducted into the Hall of Fame, the real one, the official Hall of Fame. I am a very casual fan, for what it's worth. I don't know that much about baseball, but I thought that the museum where the Hall of Fame is super cool. It's in Cooperstown, New York. That is like a 7-hour drive if you do it straight through. So just note that. But anyway, it was an outfielder named Dave Parker. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame over the weekend. He unfortunately died about a month ago, but at the induction ceremony, his son read a speech and a poem that he had been writing before he died. He didn't know that he was getting inducted, so he at least got that recognition within his lifetime. And I also just thought we'd shout out, Pittsburgh was also home to another major baseball legend. We've written about him before, but he's gotten a lot more recognition at the Cooperstown Museum since I was there. So his name was Josh Gibson. He played for the Negro Leagues, but he's now recognized as the best hitter in all of baseball history, like everyone.
Yeah, and we'll link that in our show notes too.
Yeah, so definitely check it out.
And a couple other things you should know heading into the weekend. So Pittsburgh Water, used to be PGH2O, new name. They're proposing an increase. The average customer's monthly bill would go up about like 23% in 2026, then another 10% in 2027. Pittsburgh Water is saying this money is needed for infrastructure upgrades, like getting the lead lines out of our public system.
Kind of important.
Yeah, I also support that, but
33%, like that is a lot of money.
Right. Like, I do not want lead in my pipes, but also 33% is a pretty big increase, especially when things like electricity are also looking like they're going up. Anyway, if you are mad about this, you can tell Pittsburgh Water how much you hate it. They've got a couple of public meetings, so mark your calendars for August 12th and 13th. There's an in-person one and virtual option.
Yeah, another one that is just really exciting. I think this is such a cool initiative. The Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra, world class, is looking for scores from anyone residing in Pennsylvania, going to school here in PA. So if you're a composer and you want to hear a major orchestra play your work, the winner's going to get $1,000 in cash and get to hear their music on a big stage. I think this is so neat. I actually have one friend who composes. That is his side hobby. And I just
that's a wild side hobby.
I know.
Composition is hard.
In the 21st century, I cannot believe I know one single human that does this. I really hope he goes for it. I think it's so neat.
And then some sad news. Better Made Donut in the West End is closing for now. I haven't been, but it's been on my list forever.
I mean, it is hard to get Better Made donuts, unfortunately, because you have to be up at the crack of dawn. They don't open on a super regular schedule. Like, it is challenging. And maybe it turns out some of their building maintenance issues were part of why. I don't know.
Yeah, they're closing because of an alleged issue with their landlord, but it sounds like they're trying to figure out, what they're going to do in the future. So fingers crossed they're back soon. But in the meantime, if you're looking for another place to get your donuts, we actually did an episode all about the best donuts in Pittsburgh, which we need to redo because I was not consulted. I mean, I was not working here yet, but I would like to be consulted for the next round.
I do think this is worthy of a refresh. We were also limited by the donuts we could acquire on a weekday within our quadrants of the city. I feel like there's more opportunity now. Maybe stay tuned for that.
And then one more thing, both of the Fettermans, so our Senator John Fetterman and his wife Giselle, they've both published books. Giselle's actually came out, but our Senator John Fetterman, his book is coming out in November. It's a memoir and it's called Unfettered.
Yep.
So Fetterman is basically all that's on the cover of this book. It's Unfettered John Fetterman.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, that title, it kind of feels like something that would be in an episode of Veep, honestly, like that kind of recommendation. He had a ghostwriter. I'm not sure about Giselle's. Hers is called Radical Tenderness, all about being nice to ourselves. We are debating reading them. Actually, I already downloaded Giselle's on Spotify because you can do that with the account that I have, but I have not started it yet. I'm curious what y'all think. So if you are listening to this and you have an opinion, or you want a book club then with us, maybe company would make this a little bit easier. I don't know. Call or text us on the Unfettered hotline if you would be down to read some of these books with us. 412-212-8893. That is all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. Our music is by Benji, All the Kimonos, Joss, Lanny Sherwin, and the Hot Rocks with additional music from epidemicsound.com. Mallory Falk is our executive producer. Sophia Lowe and Elizabeth Kama produce the show. Francesca DeBecco and Adrian Gonzalez wrote our newsletter with editing help this week from Natalie Rivera. I am your host, Megan Harris. We will be back on Monday with more news from around the city. Hope y'all have a good weekend.
If I remember correctly, Brian was really excited about Waterworld. So
Yeah,
I don't
he wanted
know.
to play Waterworld on VHS.